Hi everyone, I'm Ryan. Welcome back to the garage. So this week, good and bad news. I went down to see Pete of Rusty Rex, and he kindly donated a kickstand for Sid the Scrambler. So thank you very much, Pete. Really much appreciated. Whilst I was there, however, he pointed out that when I was reassembling the engine case, I missed a step, at least one. So let me take the case apart. Hopefully that's not a big job, and then show you what I missed and try and put it back together correctly. Okay, so that's side stand fitted. There we go. Operating correctly. So, good. So the frame's got a side stand. And also, I need to say thank you to Pete because he actually also donated an oil pressure sender. Now, the biggest issue. When I reassembled the case, what I didn't do is I didn't pay attention to that point there. And that should be directly upright so it matches a peg which is located in the casing here to stop this bearing from spinning. And I didn't appreciate that. It's also been questioned if I lined up the gear selection forks or not, which I took a haphazard view of. So I'm going to crack the case open, rotate this round and make sure it's located on the pin, and reassemble it in a slightly different way to ensure that the gear selector forks are engaged. So bit inconvenient, but otherwise no damage done, and just take me a little bit of time and one more bit of sealant to sort out. So let me get on with that as soon as I can. Okay, so I've taken the case apart, and I certainly would have thought I'd done everything perfectly. So the gear selector forks are in place, so the gears would have worked. There would have been nothing clear and obvious that I'd got wrong. However, there's a pin in that case just there that needs to line up with a hole that's on this bearing. And I'll pull it out and show you in a minute, but I hadn't lined those up. So this could have span in the case. So let's see if we can just get that sorted. Okay, let's see if I can lift these gears out. There we are. So they've lifted out. There is that hole there, and that needs to tie onto that little pin there. Okay, so taking that indent there, which lines up with this marker, so taking that indent there, which lines up with that marker on the outside of the journal there, I'm going to turn that around and try and get that all to line back up again, this time with that downwards. Come on, folks. There we go. That now. I'm going to keep these gears in place with the forks there, there and there. So the selector forks are in place and that's in the correct position. Good. Let's put the case back on. That's it. Good. So I'm back now to where I was originally, although this time I know the gear selectors, the forks are lined up, and I've got that bearing correctly orientated. So I'm going to continue now, connect up the gear selector and the clutch, and then I'll reinstate the oil pump. Let me start with the gear selector. I'm running out of time tonight, but I will continue tomorrow. Just before I call it quits for the day. So this mechanism has got a strange spring on it, and I'm not clear what that connects to, because I know that slides in here like so, and I know it's got, I don't know, goes in there, and I know this spring here clips to something. I have to look at the book, see if I can understand it, and then this arm goes in under here. So let me have a read. Okay, so I think that's how the spring goes on the bottom of this selector, and then that seems to just slide carefully into here. This lifts down so that it goes into position under there, and that here, the springs appear to clip either side of that pin. So that feels right. That feels right, and then that's going to pull and push this around, and it's going to be retained back to centre by this spring. Yeah, okay, I think I'm comfortable with that. And presumably the case holds against this and prevents it from coming back out again. Okay, alright, that seems straightforward enough. That is late now though. That'll do for tonight. Carry on tomorrow. Right, so the next challenge is to replace the clutch. Now there's the pack, that's where it goes, but as daft as it may seem, I did not remove this. This came off the engine when I got it. I've never removed it, and I don't know the sequence to put it back. Now this seems largely complete. This seems to have the right sort of fixings on it, and here's the old Haynes manual with some exploded diagrams. So I'm just going to slowly try and follow this and see if I can work out how to put it back on the bike. So okay, let's get started. Alright, so looking at this, it's telling me that I need to fit the thrust washer on the shaft, which I believe to be this washer here. So if that's the first thing to go on, then these items need to come off, and it tells me to fit the outer drum and spacer. So the outer drum seems to be part of this, so this needs to come apart to be refitted. Okay, that makes some sense to me, so I'm going to undo these bolts and carefully take it all apart. Alright, so to begin with, all these bolts are just finger tight. So I guess that's straightforward. I'm expecting these all to be identical. Yeah, 4 identical bolts. Okay. Now this is lifted off. That looks quite straightforward, which way round it is. Okay. That clearly lifts out easily. So that was the second items. That doesn't feel too bad. Okay. What have we got now? 4 springs. They look pretty symmetrical to me. I don't think there's a right and a wrong way for those. At least nothing obvious. Okay. And we've got this bolt here, which I think is the same as the one I already had at the end of the shaft. Let's take that off and compare it. Yeah, so they're clearly the same bolt, and this one's in better condition than that one is. So we'll be using this bolt. Thank you very much. Okay. So can that go straight on like that? It looks to me like it could. Okay. So far I've got that frost washer there. I've got this inner bush here, which seems to go in, and that all slides on there nicely. I've got all the clutch plates in situ, so that to me seems alright, and I guess that goes on next, but I'm going to read the book again carefully, make sure I'm not missing something. Okay, so I'm beginning to understand that actually what I need to do is actually have this on a bench, and I build it up from here, putting those around this. Okay, right, I didn't appreciate that. Let me start that process then. And it looks like this is a spring here on this edge that's held in by this sprung clip. So I think these bits are already correct. Okay, I'm going to keep checking because I have not done this before, which is probably quite apparent to those of you that have. Okay. Okay, so the first instructions on this I believe I'm okay with. So it's talking about putting the clutch centre downwards on a workbench, fit the cone spring, backing plate and ensure the spring is fitted, secure it in place by the spiral circlip, which is that there. So I think that's a starting point. Now I need to start building the clutch plates up, starting with a friction plate. So hopefully that's what I've got on the bike, so I'll start moving them across one at a time. Okay, so the bike tells me to take the book tells me to take this, put it on a bench, build up the springs and backing plates, which I think are correct, and put this spiral circlip on, which is this metal thing there. So I think I've got a good starting point. Now what I need to do is get the friction plates and install them one at a time. So starting with a friction plate and then a plain plate. So friction plate, and then a plain one. And repeat. Okay, so I believe that's got all the friction plates and plain plates. Now the next component I've found is this. So presumably that goes down inside there. Presumably, but let's just read the book again. So yeah, it seems I now pick this unit up and as a whole try and put it back in there. Okay, that may be fiddly. Let's see what I can do. Let's, clutch is on. Splines are engaged, that's on place. Cool. Next. Right, so the book tells me to replace the clutch peg nut. Now, there's the exploded diagram, and there's nothing on that, which they then call a clutch peg nut. So I am as confident as I can be that it is making reference to this nut and this washer, and this washer on it clearly says outside. I don't know if you can see that. Let's try and get it. Not easily, but it says outside on it, and it's domed. So I'm going to go that does exactly what it says, and that goes on next. And then this goes on afterwards. It's got a flat edge and a domed edge. Logic's telling me it's the flat edge on the inside, but I don't know that. So can I verify that? Let's refer to the book again. So I just worked out that must go on with the flat side inwards and the curved on the outside. And then I thought to myself, let me just look at the other washer that came off. And the other bolt, sorry. And this is the bolt, and you can clearly see evidence on this side that it's been hit, which would tell me that that must have been that way on, and they've hit that to try and undo it. So it's the curved side that's on the inside, not the flat. So I was about to put that on wrong. So let me rotate it, put that back on again. So that's, make sure that's right, yep. So that's good, I'm happy with that. Now what I don't have is a right tool to tighten this with. And I know you can just hit it, but I think I'm just going to pause and try and get something that actually bites on that properly, so that I don't end up damaging the nut like this one's been damaged. So I'm just going to stop there for the moment and probably just put the oil pump back on, reconnect all that, and then I can just finish the clutch once I've got the right tool. So yeah, I'm just going to pause there for a minute. There you go, another lesson learnt the hard way. Just gone to put the oil pump fixtures back on. This needs to go on, and it can't fit on with the clutch in place. I can't get it on like that. So the clutch has to come off. Okay, well, it's only finger tight and it's only just placed on. No biggie. But I would have been somewhat frustrated if I talked all this up and completed it. So there we go, lesson learnt. Don't do that first. It's only taken a minute or two just to take the bolt off, just slide this forward, get that washer in behind, and then put it back. So no biggie, just minor step. Okay, so I believe this goes on next. That should, here we go. Then we've got this spacer, and we've got this gear, which is going to go on there, like Am I going to sit on there? Yes, that's going to sit on the end, and there's going to be a bolt that holds that in place. But I need to put it on at the same time as this. So this is probably going to be a bit more fiddly now. So where's the indent? There we go. So if I put that at the top, rotate that round. So that key there is going to go over that peg, and then this is going to go on there. So let's try. It's about that orientation. Is that going to go? It's not under stress, but it is just, it all needs to line up. There we go. There we go. And then the bolt runs in. That's oily bolt. So that needs to go on there. And then there's a circlip that goes on the end of this, which hopefully I've not lost. He says, looking in the bag. No, that's all right. It's in this bag. And there's my circlip. That needs to go on there. Just need a little bit of persuasion. Get a screwdriver or something. Okay, cool. So yeah, if I'm gonna try and make a tool up to be able to do this nut, I'm looking for something about 32mm external diameter to make a tool up to do that nut properly without trying to damage it. Anyway, that's as much as I can do now. Thank you very much to those of you that have been following. I can't do any more this week. Please consider just clicking that subscribe button, would really help me out. Any advice, encouragement? Have I messed anything up? Please tell me. That's the only way I'm learning. Other than that, see you next week. Thank you very much, and goodbye for now.